Good afternoon. This section is about practice management. We have learning a lot of things about ophthalmology, how to manage cataract surgery and everything. But that is not the whole thing. We have to learn how to manage our practice also. So for this section, I have with me co-chairman Srini is set to come, convener Samiraj, then moderator Shashikumar is here. Then we have few topics. Everyone, please limit your subjects. I think we will start with the first speaker, Dr. Anup Chirayat. He will be talking about fixing the surgical package rates in your hospital. So these are all experienced people. They will be talking about their experience. That is more important than all theory, everything.
Good afternoon. So, when you think of starting your practice, so this is one thing which you have to plan. That is how to fix your surgical tariff. So, I feel there are two ways. One is the actual way, costing, doing a costing study and analyzing that, and then based on that, making your profit package. And the other more simpler method, probably comparing with other similar hospital packages. So when you are talking about the comparing, so if you have, when you start a practice in a place, so it may be a rural place or it may be an urban, it may be a city. So if it is a city, then there may be other hospitals in that city, which may be something having the same facilities that your hospital has, having the same ambience. Whether you are trying to reach out to the patients of the lower strata or the higher super specialty cadre. So based on that, you will be selecting those hospitals and comparing, getting the package rates of those hospitals, and then maybe based on that you can decide your. Or if there are no other similar hospitals, maybe there may be other hospitals in a similar type of city in some other district. So, and nowadays, because of this NABH, where transparency is mandatory or it is necessary, it's very easy to get all these package rates now. Previously, it used to be very difficult. You had to have a lot of espionage work and all. But now it is very simple because all hospitals display the packages very well. So, when we compare on that, and then based on that, plus or minus, you can set your package rate. So, that is a very simple and practical method because but the better method, the more scientific method, I would say, would be doing a costing study. But here you calculate the actual cost of your surgery based on the target that you may reach. If you have started a hospital and you say you target, I will do 50 surgeries in a month. So based or in a year, I will do 500 surgeries. So based on that target and the actual cost of your own, of each procedure, of each surgery, so and the amount of profit that you would expect from one surgery, based on that you can make your package. So when you do a costing exercise, there are like two types of costs involved. We all know that. One is the fixed cost. Fixed cost is something which you have to pay these expenses, whether you operate on one patient or you operate on 100. The rent that you pay for the building, like most of us start in leased property. And labor is a very important cost because that again, your salaries and labor, that cost will always be there, even if you operate few patients or you operate more. Electricity, your equipment, depreciation of the equipments and other support services that you have. Whereas the variable cost, of course, will depend based on the number of surgeries you do. That is the IOLs and medicines and consumables that you use. So that is going to vary depending on the number of surgeries that you do. So there is one small table which will show you how your cost, your profit will change depending on the number of surgeries that you do. For example, if you do have a cataract surgical volume of say 500 and the fixed cost per surgery comes to say 8,000 and variable cost 2,000, then the cost per cataract would be 10,000. And on top of that, if you say you want a profit of 30 or 40%, your cost, you can package it as 14,000. So your profit is 4,000. But if your volume say increases, say the next year increases to 1,000. So with this small increase in volume, you may not have to increase the space or you may not have to increase on your number of staff. You can still manage to with the same number of staff and the same place and same equipments. But you find here that your fixed cost per cataract comes down. It comes to half. If you increase the surgical volume by double, it comes to half, 4,000. So your proportionately, your total cost per cataract comes to 6,000. And if your package rate is still 14, your profit would be almost 8,000. Similarly, as volumes increase to a particular level, after a particular level, of course, you will have to increase your space, you will have to increase your number of staff. But what is important is the optimal use of manpower as well as space. And then your profitability will definitely increase. And doing a costing exercise actually is a very cumbersome process, and it's not possible for most of the time. We will have to take the help of a chartered accountant, because here you have to take into account each and everything, like right from a small thing like a wire speculum, your towel clamp, or your needles, your tooth forceps, phaco choppers, everything. And the life you have to decide of those equipment. Normally, if we say it's a life is 2 years, and based on that, we have found that in a phaco, for one case of phaco, the cost for small instruments, micro instruments, comes to 144 rupees. Consumables, similarly, you have to take the cost of all syringes and blades and caps, ringle lactates and phaco tips, right up to phaco tips, phaco sleeves, your sterilization things, consumables like ETO indicators, Y indicators. So everything this is for our hospital, for the amount of surgeries that we do. We have found that the cost comes of all these consumables comes to some 1,500 rupees per phaco surgery. Labor is the one which contributes maximum to your cost, because ours is a service industry. So we need to have a lot of staff to give a good experience to our patients, to see that there is not much of waiting time, to see that each and every patient goes happy. So we need to really invest on the labor. And right from the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, OT staff, daycare staff, optometrists who do your biometry, all those things have to be considered, your counselors, housekeeping staff. Even your insurance staff, even the salary of insurance staff will contribute to your surgery. So this will come to around 3,000. In our case, it comes to around 3,300. So which is contributes maximum to the cost of cataract surgery. So when you compute all these things together, that is your consumable surgical instruments, your calibration, your labor, manpower, equipments, your furniture, indirect depreciations. So this was all done by a chartered accountant. So in everything, the total cost of the surgery comes to around 10,700 in our case. This is for our case. For each hospital, it will be different for the number of surgeries that we do. So it comes to around 10,700. And if we package, this is for a Indian hydrophobic lens, phaco foldable. And if we have a package rate of say 15,500, then our profit is 30. When we decide that we will have a profit of 30%, then it will come to around approximately 5,000 or 4,700 is a profit. That is, this profit is before tax, because you have to pay tax on this at the end of the year. So this, whether it is 30, 25 or 40, that you have to again decide based on the charges of the other competitor hospitals, because you cannot decide just because I do 5 surgeries, I will take 60%. That is not going to work, because your patients are going to go to some other hospital. But generally in eye hospital, the revenue comes from surgeries. So it is important that while your OP and all those things may not be very high, so you should have a decent profit, keeping in mind your comparative charges of the other hospitals. So this is the way of making the surgical package, and then you can increase your profit while maintaining the same surgical package by cost containment strategies. I think every institute should have this in their DNA. It should be in the culture of the organization to reduce unnecessary costs, right from small things like switching on off the fan when you go out of the room. Not only you do it, you have to give as a role model, but you see that each and every staff in the hospital should be having that culture. That is not only for the hospital, that is also for the nation actually, where you are trying to conserve energy. So small things like that. And then manpower planning is very important. So if you are depending on the patient load, say in your daycare, if you are going to see only 10 patients and if you have 5 people looking after there, that is actually waste. So based on your workload, you should have the manpower. So that is very important, because the labor, I said, contributes maximum to the cost. Then care of equipments. A life, say you buy a automated perimeter, its life if you look after it properly with good AMC and good care, you can use it for almost 8 to 10 years. In our hospital, we are using that much. Similarly, good systems and procedures, all this will help you in the optimal use of resources so that your cost will come down marginally, so that proportionately your profit will go up, so that you can afford to have lower surgical packages. So this is in short what I wanted to say about how to plan for your surgical package. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. Good talk. In my private practice, I used to tell like the way to sell the package is to tell the patient whichever financially you can afford, please take it. That it really helps, and once we tell that, they feel that we are on their side. Then slowly, actually, you can, this lens is better, so something you can tell. But always when we tell that, depending on your financial thing you can do, they feel very much comfortable in there rather than telling this is the best. If you don't do this, this is not good. Anyway, that's one thing. Anyway, excellent talk, Anup. Next is Key to Patient Counseling by Dr. Alex Baby.
At the outset, I would like to thank KSOS and Radharamana sir for giving this opportunity. And the main objectives of counseling in eye care are to enhance the awareness about the eye disease, to market new services and products, to reach patient expectations, and most importantly, to boost up patient compliance towards surgery or treatment. So I'll be talking about cataract surgery counseling, which is the most commonly done counseling in any hospitals, which is most challenging because of multiple options involved, and if properly done, it is the most rewarding counseling. So the counseling, most important person is the counselor. He should have a basic knowledge about the eye disease, what is cataract, and other systemic disease involved, about the surgeries, the complications risk involved, type of implants, advantages and drawbacks, and costs and benefits. And the counseling should be a good listener. It should be a pleasant person and flexible. It should be empathetic to the patient and non-judgmental, not prejudiced attitude, and tolerant. And most importantly, he should have, or he or she should have a sound common sense and communication skills. So, who can be counselor? An optometrist can be counselor, ophthalmic nurse can be counselor, or they can have a trained counselor who is familiar with ophthalmic practice, or a doctor or a surgeon himself or herself can be a counselor. So, whatever said and done, it should be preferably done by a lady because of innate qualities of patients, multitasking abilities, and meticulous setup. So, what are the advantages? Like we have in our hospital, we have an optometrist as a counselor, we have a trained nurse as a counselor, and there are trained counselors who is an MSW. So, like each profession has their own advantage. Optometrist is well versed with refraction, and she knows about she will do a good IOL counseling. She knows the advantages and drawbacks. And about the staff nurse, being a nurse, she knows about the surgery complication risk, and she's more empathetic to the patient. And this pre-op fitness counseling is best done by nurse. And trained counselor, they are trained for the job, so the better communication skills. They are more worried about the economics, and they will try to promote higher packages. And our ideal counselor should have all these qualities, but in practically it is difficult. So regarding the doctor counselor, there are exceptions. I make a very poor counselor. So we have no less patients. We are so egoistic, so difficult. We find it difficult to answer irrelevant and silly questions, which we think silly, not the patient. And we have to face a lot of embarrassing questions regarding cost type, which I found it difficult. And we are too much worried about the complications risk. A patient comes to you, we think about the risk and complications. So outright promises cannot be made. So let them be made by our counselors. So when a patient comes to you, you should be prepared. By the time they come to us, we know, like looking at the records, we know about the details of the patient's type of cataract, whether they have astigmatism, whether they have other ocular diseases, and details about other eye surgery. That's very important because where it is done, and like how is surgery like, and about the drug history and systemic history. And aware about the counseling room, it should be a very cozy place near to the patient waiting area. It should be comfortable. It should be good chairs, and it should be equipped with posters, models, computers, etc. And in our counselor is she's a optometrist. We have an equipment like biometry and keratometry in the counseling room itself, and immediately she will go for this scan, and that makes the counseling easy for her. And whenever we design a room, a hospital, importance should be given to the counseling room. That is very important. And start with the chat. With that, we'll get an idea about the family status, socio-economic status of the patient, and expectations of the patient. So, I want to drive, a 80-year-old person, I want to drive at night. So, you can keep that in mind. And you want to read attitude of the patients, where they are the misers, they are really care about their parents, or they are just, onlookers. And who brought the patient to the patient. So, the patient's father or mother or brother or a relative has undergone and a procedure in a hospital, and they are coming to you. That means they are happy patients. So the counseling is easy for you. So how does it start? How do you start the counseling? This is what starts from the basics. The dictum is nail the basics, details later. So even the most educated person, like a professor or a software engineer, he does not know. He may not know what a cataract is. So he is aware about the cataract, but so he should explain the disease with the help of models, animations, and you can put a word on the surgery. We are doing phaco. Phaco is something which is a very commonly done case, but it has its own complications. But it is it's very less. And you should. This is the time where you have to tell good word about the surgeon. The surgeon is so and so is doing surgery. He has a lot of experience. He has worked there. He was working in Angamali. He was working in the different places. He has trained in such a place. And we have the best equipments with us. We have been operating with maybe the Alcon Surgery in Gold. So we have a picture of that machine there and the facilities, etc. And then start talking about IOLs. So first, then only you go for IOLs. So every hospital has a long package list. Before the dictum was lesser the number of packages, it will be easy for the patient, but it is not possible now. The advent of monofocals, trifocals, and UDF and torics, and minimum 12 packages will be there in each and every hospital. That is minimum thing. But in our hospital, we have 22 packages, including economy and medicine packages. But we don't show them. We only show this small picture. So the basic IOLs, we talk about the basic IOLs, monofocals, trifocals, UDF, and explain the benefits. We don't talk about toric then see the chart or the record, and if the patient is having astigmatism, then we mention about the toric, then only go for company and cost counseling. So, explain about the IOL in detail, which we had done already, and talk about the advantages. Use only positive words, no negativism. All the IOLs in the hospitals are good. They'll give you 6x6 vision, full vision. But if you use this particular type of IOL, vision will be sharper or clearer. Or if everything is a safe procedure. If you use a preloaded one, it is more safer. So, you should tell like that. And you always use models or computer animations and motions. And always there is a confusion regarding Indian and important things that we have to clear out, telling that Indian is good, it's always good. But this is the important one, is worldwide people are using that. It's a time tested one, you can tell like that. And irrespective of the socio-economic status, you have to give all the options. So, like what they say, you cannot judge a book by the cover. You cannot judge a person by his appearance. A person may be poor, but he will be willing to pay for his mother or father. But opposite, vice versa is also there. And adamant mentality. So my father has been fixed with this IOL. So I want this IOL. My brother, no, not like that, sir. I know your father is having good vision, but that time this type of IOLs were there. Lenses were not there. You take time to explain about the IOLs even to the most adamant person. Then you go for the cost counseling. Because by the time you have already explained about the benefits, you know about you have an idea about the economic status of the patient and mental status and the bystanders. Then explain the package concept. So a patient, this is the surgery cost 30,000 rupees. 30,000 rupees. So no, this is not the cost of the IOL. This is the cost of the procedure. So we do surgery, the surgeon's fees, theatre charges, all this, everything is included. That package concept should be there first. Then you have to make sure that there are no hidden charges. Even the richest person will maybe sometimes irritated if they have some hidden charges or unexplained cost at the end. So after surgery, there will be some charge for the like anesthetic cost, there will be extra, or for medicines you have to pay. Everything should be transparent that time. And if the patient is having an insurance policy, do your maximum to avoid that policy and direct the patient to the insurance officer. That is headache of insurance officer. Counselor cannot do more than that. Then they have chosen a IOL. Make the patient happy and confident about the IOL they have chosen. Otherwise, they will be, irritated. They will be, confusing, and they will be asking about the IOLs even at the time of surgery. So, which is good, which is bad. They will keep on asking. So complications, some people will ask about complications. There are complications. I think, in my opinion, counselor should avoid the question or passively answer it. And if the patient is they are persistent, send the patient back to the doctor, telling that this patient is having some doubts. I think for clearing the doubts about the complication, doctor is the best person than any counselors. So pre-op counseling, we have to do some re-counseling in some cases. Suppose pre-operative cataract surgery, OCT macula is a common thing which we do for every patient. So a patient is advised for or planned for fixed for a monofocal, trifocal lenses. Then patient is having an epiretinal membrane or a macular lesion. Then we can send the patient to a retina consultant and discuss with the retina consultant and reconsider the choice of IOL. Sir, it may not be possible for you. That increases the confidence of the patients in your institution as well as in the counseling. And same with the speed of spectra for all the patients. If there is a correlation, you can tell that you may need viscot and keratometry. Keratometry, so like the initial refraction may not show the correct keratometry. So if you do keratometry and if you find the astigmatism is high, then that is the time you need to recounsel for toric. So medical fitness counseling is one of the most important things. Like repeat medical history and tracheostomy should be asked by every every counselors, and BP and blood sugar should be monitored for every patient who tells, I am okay, I have now the disease. And this helps the counselors should direct the surgeon for giving the referral letters for the right physicians. A patient is a nephrologist and you are giving a referral letter to physician may not help. So, and always, we are all practitioners, always, if a patient is asking for a physician or a suggestion, then you send the patient to a physician or institution who are familiar with you, and we will send the patient back to you. When we said if you send a patient to some hospitals, they will not come back. They will get it operated there also. So you should know about that.
Alex, conclude.
Yeah. So one last slide, sorry. Okay, sir. So that's not end there. Even during the day of surgery, they have some roles to play. On the day of post-op, so counsel is the most important person. They have to communicate with all these people and keep the counselors happy. You can should pay them well, and incentives. I suggest incentives for each counseling, and you should have standby people and keep them happy. And you have to customize your counseling just like you customize other things. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you so much.
So nice talk by Alex. I am of the opinion that counseling has to be done by the doctor only, because I do it, whatever be the crowd. It's a one-man show for me, but still, because you have a rapport with the patient, by the time you finish, you know everything, as you told, a lot of points. That's true, sir. But I used to feel, because all the medical legal issues and all, would come down a lot, because there's a rapport that it doesn't that easily come. Anyway, that's one point I thought I should say.
True.
Shall we go to the next talk? So, getting feedback the talk will be on getting feedback by Dr. Shrikant Karat. What do you say?
Thank you. Good afternoon. In the current ophthalmic practice, where the competition is very high, like we have hospitals, higher hospitals every 100 meters, these three words make a lot of sense in your successful practice. When I started my practice in '96, this feedback was very much limited. Patient goes home, they discuss with their family members. If it's a positive feedback, it's a word of mouth, he'll bring back the patient. Now with the online media, the problem is before they leave your chamber, they would have posted a feedback. So this really matters. So you have to look into the patient feedback, reviews and ratings. Initially, I thought all the three are same, but now I found that feedback is the patient opinion that is solicited. You ask for opinion and it's internal. This is the best thing you can do. When you start a practice, always go for internal feedback. because it doesn't come into public. So when you start a practice, you have a lot of hitches. So don't let the patients make it public. So when you have a decent practice, when you feel you're settled, you can go for reviews. The reviews are non-solicited. It's open, anyone can come in, anyone can see. And negative reviews, the main problem is when you have a negative reviews, you can't delete it, you can't filter it also. It will be there. Then you have to compensate by getting some positive reviews. Rating is nothing, just a star given to any service from 1 to 5. It may be there without a review. So again, the importance of feedbacks, it give you insight into the quality of care you are providing. Because you will think, yeah, you are giving a good quality, but from the patient's point of view, it may not be enough. So what they want, you will be able to find out. The patient experience, the areas of improvement, that is more important. Like any areas, like maybe it is a security person or a registration appointment facility, the patient feedback really matters. The staff performance, that is one way. The patient will give you that this optometrist or this reception staff was not good, the appointment was not correct, they didn't pick up the phone. So that you can evaluate how each staff, each department is performing in your institution. And safety concerns, because most of our patients are elderly patients, they may point out, like your that washroom, you need to have some handle, something they'll say. The steps, they'll need the carpet so they don't slip. So all these things will be enlightened by a patient feedback. Then it promotes the accountability and transparency and positive reviews. It adds to your practice because it increases the reputation, especially the online positive reviews. So these are the areas which you can cover, like it can be in the appointment, registration experience, waiting time, the facilities maybe your lab facilities, that counseling department, all the departments, communication at various departments. So the patient will give you insight, like what are the areas. So you can have a feedback just concentrating on the communication part. Then the surgical experiences, the experience with the opticals and pharmacy, how they were with the billing process, waiting, everything. The follow-up care after surgery, whether they were called, all these matters. These are general in how you collect a feedback. This is the best option is the offline feedback, direct. As I said, it is internal. Nobody else knows. Only our team knows what is happening. And there are many methods of collecting it. You can have the age-old that form which we can fill, the suggestion box, visitors. Now they have so many softwares generated. Even your EMR can generate a feedback form. That is also possible. Then collecting feedback from the staff. This is very crucial because you have staff at the various points. They'll tell you, especially your security staff, housekeeping staff, they'll tell you what the patients are talking after their consultation. So you can have to take all these feedbacks. And the social media, the possibilities are endless. So these are the various methods by which you can generate a feedback. You can have SMS-based feedback, email. QR code is one way. You can have QR code facilities at various points in your setup. So patients can just scan and give the feedback immediately. And it becomes internal also. But it should be very user-friendly, concise, and should cover all points where the patient comes in contact. And open communication. When the patient comes for a review, you can have, when they are waiting after the dilatation, you can talk to their bystanders, the patient, how they feel about it, what are the scope of improvement. That's how various method of collecting feedback. Then you have to set up a group. It will include all the key staff members, doctors, everybody should be involved. And choosing the feedback tool, as I said earlier, you have to decide which is best for your option. Then alert system, especially negative feedback, don't ignore it. Act immediately. Before you lose the patient, you have to act and give a corrective measures. Sometimes you can win back the patient back. And always resolve the issues. This is sample feedback. This is a method of analyzing, giving priority and improvement and continuously evaluate the patient. These are the challenges. You don't have enough staff, time, and anonymity concern, resistant to change. That's a major factor. In conclusion, if you improve the feedback system, you can improve the patient care, build trust, helps understand what a patient wants, and boost online reputation. Thank you.
Excellent talk, Srikanth. One point which I really love, which you really explained, was that negative feedback has to be given all the importance. Some people will say, "Ningalapa Gurayappan," forget that. That thing you can neglect. But when somebody says anything negative, the usual tendency is to think like, "Oh, this is not the way I am," or whatever. But always we have to give a lot of importance to negative feedback.
Next, we have Dr. Radha Ramnan. He'll be speaking on ethical marketing.
Good afternoon. Actually, ethical marketing is, when you talk about ethical marketing, is a really questionable thing. The question is, what is ethics? There are so many definitions. Examine the rational justification for our moral judgments. You can find out a lot of definitions in the things. And the marketing also, we will see a lot of definitions. Refers to the activities of a company undertakes to promote the buying or selling of the product. It includes advertising, selling, delivering product to consumers or other businesses. So when you combine it, that is a question comes. Ethical marketing is given when you promote a product, service or brand in a way that aligns with your values and morals. Here is an important thing. Here it is written your values and morals. But your values and morals should be with your patient's values or other people's values and morals. So we should not make inflated claims, practicing transparency and openness and things like that. Our challenges are there is no definite definition or guidelines. So everyone will interpret it in a different way. So there is another problem is every hospital want to increase your patient flow. So when you want to increase your patient flow, it happens in a different way in different hospitals. Suppose it is a doctors, they have a way. If it is run by the corporate or other people, MBA people or some other people, their ethics will be totally different. So then you have to face, suppose one hospital is facing a, they will say, suppose a doctor run hospital or some other hospital having a strict ethical practice, then he has to face some other practices. Sometimes he believes that it is unethical, but what is more important is what the common people believes. So how will you market it? There are basically, you are all aware, there are two ways when hospitals, eye hospitals are marketed. One is the direct way and second is the indirect way. Direct is advertising. You can have packages, surgical or executive tests, offers, commission agents, all these are possible. But indirect is the traditional way which works in most of the hospitals, or when you consider in Kerala, if you look at the major hospitals, all these major hospitals, they are working on indirect way. They works on free eye camps, patient education programs through media and leaflet. These are all works to some extent to your marketing. And charity, reduction of rates. I will come to each. Advertising, whether it is ethical. Second question is really a need for aggressive ads? I am not telling about an information passing only. You are giving an aggressive ad, whether it can act negatively also. Sometimes it happens. Some aggressive ads backfires. So legally coming, a medical practitioner is permitted to make a formal announcement in press regarding the following. This is a legal thing you have to understand. On starting of a practice, on change of type of practice, on changing address, on temporary absence from duty, on assumption of another practice, on succeeding to another practice or public declaration of charges. There is an excuses to find out when you give advertisement. You have to be careful. If you find this thing, you won't be in trouble when legally questioned. Regulations under the National Medical Commission Act, the new one, 2011 prohibit doctors from advertising themselves, but corporate hospitals has got an excuse. It's all affects more of doctors, not on the hospitals. But this is a news report from New Delhi. Two-judge bench of the Supreme Court on Tuesday, that is last month, October 10th, issued a notice on writ petition seeking directions on the regulation of advertising by the corporate hospitals. Justice Sanjay Khan Kaul and Sudhanshu Dhulia issued notice to the National Medical Commission. So this is under the Supreme Court consideration now. So packages, when you are telling surgical packages, as Alex was earlier mentioning about all this thing, whether we have a problem with mentioning everything on IOL cost, and sometimes it backfires. Executive screening, we have to do it carefully, and there are so many family packages coming. These are all the present day scenario. Family packages comes, one person is operated, the other family members get it free. Then we have a festival packages. Then everyone having ophthalmic day celebrations, World Sight Day, glaucoma, all these things having packages. Offers, I don't know what to talk about offers. Sometimes it affects negatively. I think this is my experience. Most of the offers backfires. Commission system, we can give commission to the patient, to the agents, to fellow doctors, and to any person to get the patient. But this is, you have to think clearly what you want, and you have to, more importantly, you have to think what others will think about you. Okay, camps most established in India. Unhealthy competition of camps by the hospital is a very, very important thing nowadays. Patient education leaflets all gives you lot of importance and publicity. Charity other than eye camps also is, then the flood situation, even KSOS was a forefront in all this thing. The question now at present is whether the aggressive marketing by one hospital affects another hospital. What do you think? Sometimes we think that it affects the other hospital, but you have to think sometimes it enhances the other hospital also. So don't worry about a aggressive hospital marketing. It will help after some time to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we have Dr. Kaushik Murali, who will be talking on managing the social media.
So here we're sitting in a room discussing how to market, how to do social media, while most of us would probably think that we should rather be seeing patients. So once again, I thank KSOS for this invitation to be a part of this IC. Dr. Srikanth and Dr. Radharamanan have kind of made it easy, setting the context for what marketing is and how important social media and the online presence is. So we need to understand that social media is an animal, and this is an animal we need to understand. All our patients invariably are using social media. It allows us to communicate one-on-one with them. It is extremely cost effective because you can actually target it rather than do a paint and spray approach where you're doing something in the city. It allows you not just to sell, but also to showcase activities, accomplishments. You can promote you can do promotional activities, you can attract colleagues that you may want to join your practice, and it allows you to showcase testimonials. On the flip side, there always is a risk that the database that you have can be shared, can be sold, everything is available. There can be a false narrative that can come out. Information that you want to be held close can get out, and it does take time. And today, with the social media coming in, again, patients are going to refer to it and land up. We've had patients ask questions on ChatGPT as to when their scleral buckle should be removed and sit and fight with our doctors. So day is not far where this is going to become a routine practice for us. When you look at social media per se, it allows you to, one, attract new patients. It allows you to raise public awareness. And three, more importantly, it allows you as a communication channel to actually showcase what your brand is. And consistency in doing all of this becomes very, very important. All these three, irrespective of the size of your practice or whether you're starting off your career or you're way ahead of it, continues to hold good stead. When you look at social media platforms, there are a dime a dozen. These four probably would be the most relevant. To put it in context, Facebook is similar to having a notice board. So it allows you to inform about various sessions that you're having. You can have a Facebook live session where you can interact with various people. You can give updates about seasonal outbreaks that are happening in and around your community, or even something as simple as saying that the road to the hospital is blocked or there is some construction going on. Use a rear platform. Twitter, or what is now referred to as X, is more like your breaking news platform. It is great to post about newspaper articles and repost it into that. It is great to post about accomplishments that you may have, awards that you won, or something, some VIP patient or some celebrity who's walked into your clinic. YouTube is again something that all of us access to. This is your own personal video network. You can upload whatever you want on it. You can humanize it to the extent, if you're somebody who has a passionate hobby, to sharing videos about surgical procedures, to patient testimonials, to whatever you think is relevant to patients or potential patients and would enhance your own reputation as an individual. The last platform, again, I don't see too many of us doctors use it, is LinkedIn. This is a peer-to-peer platform that connects professionals. It will connect you to professionals outside of the medical fraternity and will actually help you in building those networks. You can build your reputation as an expert in the particular domain by actually answering to certain topics that may be there, or posting on larger topics of interest that would be relevant to the community. The current trends that we've been leveraging as an institution and that will hold good is currently video sells, or video is what attracts people. The attention is going down. So anything that you can post as a short video, a reel, or something with an animation usually works very well. We have a lot of YouTube content that is on our Shankara Academy of Vision platform that has helped us build an audience of almost about 15,000 people who subscribe to it, and that allows us to engage with people who will join us for training programs and also become potential colleagues at a later stage. Chatbots are again something that works well. We have chatbots running on our Facebook page. This allows in at least getting the patient to drill down to a specific question and understanding what the patient is looking for, or the person logging onto the social media is looking for. We do social listening every 3 months, where we look at what chatter and trends are there on all our social media handles. And we try and understand where we are doing well, where we are doing bad, where comments are being posted. Influencer marketing is something we've not done. But some of our colleagues are influencers in the field, and we try and get them to post on their own personal handles and share it with us. Personalization is possible because you can target messages based on the age group. So you don't want a glaucoma message going into a group that has young mothers. You would rather post something about, say, eye hygiene, or how it's important to go back to school with vision and stuff like that. So you can actually target and message groups. VR, AR, we've not used much. We've used a few medias on our videos and interactive things on our Google page. That has helped us to some extent. Now, the common challenges that are there is all of us have to handle multiple segments. Most of our organization works in silos. The doctor will not share to the marketing. Marketing will have no clue what we as doctors do. Inbox becomes a challenge because it is landing on a common domain where not all of us have access to. It may get forgotten. Localizing content becomes very, very, very tricky, because when you're translating content from English to the vernacular, often you can have certain mistakes that creep in. Finally, content is king. If you have to, there is a pressure to share constant content. And if you're sharing content that has not been created by you, it is very, very important to fact check. Because if it is wrong, then it becomes a challenge. Don't feel shy to highlight colleagues' accomplishments. That becomes very critical. Wherever you're sharing anything from the patient, make sure that you have their permission to actually share that. Google review, I think Shrikant sir did mention it. We aggressively try and capture it, because patients will go online when they are unhappy, very rarely when they are happy. So you need to have multiple ways that you can actually gather it. My last slide is, when you're looking at building your social media management, one, centralize it, make sure that you can post across platforms. What's on Facebook goes into Instagram and stuff like that. Create a calendar. Sir did share about various days that we can celebrate. It's important for you to build relationships into your community, so you have to customize and respond. Like he mentioned, if there is a flood happening, how are we using social media to actually leverage it? So we set up a collection center for the Kerala floods in a hospital in Bangalore, and that made us extremely popular in the community, as though we were there for the community at that time. All we did was open out our doors. We didn't have to spend 1 rupee. We were able to mobilize almost about 23 truckloads of relief. You can improve your brand reputation. Google review is something you can't wish away. You have to make sure that you're responding to messages that come in, and it is very important for us to measure what is happening. Just posting is not important. What is the engagement happening? What are the negative reviews? What are our peers in the community doing? And see how you can actually uncover actionable insights. My last slide: stay secure. Make sure that anybody who leaves your organization does not have access to your credentials. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of challenge. It's very important for us as professionals to stay neutral, avoid anything that has political, religious, or inflammatory annotation. What is personal, should not come out, should not reflect on our institution. Be on social media. It is not enough for you to outsource it to an entity. Each one of us has to be on those pages seeing what's happening, and you have to be professional. So I have very clear protocols about who can post, who can comment, and even if a competitor comments about something about us, be professional in your response. You don't have to make it nasty. So thank you again so much for this opportunity to share something about social media management.
Excellent talk, Dr. Kaushik. Now, the next speaker is Dr. Ramurthy, Roadmap to Growth and Staff Retention.
Thank you for the kind invitation to be a part of this very well designed session. This is a topic given to me. Can the entire slide come in? Okay, roadmap to growth and staff retention. And all of us is used to investing on equipment, instruments, reinvesting, renewing them, sometimes even unnecessarily, all to take care of these 2.4 millimeters of that's under our domain. But what we need to concentrate is the team which is going to put all these instruments to use. I often believe that no general can fight his battles alone, and whatever you have achieved as a team, however big it is, it's whether it's a 4-member team or it's a 1,000-employee institution, is all because multiple people have performed their roles optimally. And I believe the strength of any organization lies in getting this team together rather than the infrastructure, the equipment that they acquire. Once they have a team which is responsive, which shares the vision of the leaders, then obviously that organization is going to make it. So what are the measures? I'm going to talk only from practical experience. Obviously, there are several other ways of doing it. And we have the way we control our different centers is to have one Zoom meeting with all the principal stakeholders, which is the senior consultants, the medical director, all the senior professionals who are working there, where all the working of that particular center is threadbare discussed. All the numbers are shared with them, and in case it's doing well, there is a certain amount of compensation that's offered to them as an incentive. It may, depending upon the level at which they are in that particular organization. We also have an idea about what exactly was the turnover the previous year, what is our target this year, exactly the same month, because it's a month-on-month which comparison, which is usually looked at, and then what exactly we achieve at the end of the month. And obviously this motivates the team. The one hallmark we emphasize is that do not cut corners to achieve these targets. Whatever you are doing is to be ethical in the best interest of the patient. Again and again, in more than 30 years, I've found that any shortcuts, obviously in the long run, doesn't work out. And constantly working to enhance your reputation, enhance your skill sets and what you're offering to the patients is what finally matters. And that's the message we want to get across the entire organization. It's not just the consultants that you matter. I'm just taking a section of the optometrists across our different centers. These are the groups of them. Depending on the size of the center, the numbers also vary. And these are the pictures of them. Even at this level, even though some of them are youngsters, 18, 19-year-old, reward, recognition, and respect for the contribution they do. We often keep emphasizing that success of the organization depends on their work. It's not just the optometrists, but each and every segment of the staff that obviously motivates them to perform and give off their best. So it's not just the monetary compensation that matters, but even recognizing what they do. Giving them also an opportunity to perform in the sense that this is the 12th edition of the clinical refresher course. Almost all the slides and pictures I'm sharing is what we did in the last year or so. And this is an extremely successful conference for optometrists. All the speakers in this are our own consultant optometrists, and this is attended by more than 500 optometrists. This is the time when the fellowship certificates to those who have passed out and the best outgoing student is also recognized. And they really look forward to this. And the fact that the professional development opportunities have been given to them, and it's also recognized, it integrates them, gels them with the organization. And when we did a phaco-refractive decoded conference, though we had eminent national faculty, excellent surgeons visiting us, all the 15 or 16 surgeries were performed by our senior and mid-level consultants, and essentially the visiting faculty acted as efficient mentors. So recognizing the skill sets of our own staff, giving them an opportunity to showcase them allows not only skill development, but also recognition for the same, which is extremely important. It's not all work and play. And I often consider that whenever you can get together to have a game to play, you will also work harder. This is one of our last year's annual consultants get together. A section of them are seen in these pictures. And it's not just the consultants who matter. These are the lower level employees, the receptionists, the sisters, etc., who went out on a holiday. All of them are given time off to do that. And it's not just individual centers which go out, but even across centers, they are allowed to interact with each other. Emphasizing a work-life balance, and it's extremely important to make these youngsters feel that not only working in the best place possible, but it allows them to express themselves, and safety is paramount for all of them, and nothing which is compromised on that is tolerated in any way. So just like the organization wants to progress, they have goals. Each and every individual, whether it's a driver or a ward boy, looks forward to growth in his professional lifetime, in his while he's there with you. And unless he or she sees a growth pattern, they are not going to they are not likely to last with you. Basically, each of them is given a clear career progression paths depending upon the capabilities. Internal promotions is what is constantly encouraged. Somebody who joins about 15 years back as my EDP coordinator at a 4,500 rupees salary is my general manager across centers now. And they are mentored, handheld, leadership roles are offered to them, and we minimize to the extent possible lateral entry. Though if the position demands it, we do go ahead and do that. Make the organization entirely acknowledge the fact that this person is going to add value to it. And whenever somebody, whether it's improving the English language skills or computer skills or just communication skills, we assist them to go ahead and do that. And it doesn't come without any assessment. Obviously, there are all kinds of people in your organization. And then evaluating them periodically, whatever in a large organization, a structured evaluation like what we follow on a 6-monthly basis is there. And it's not that every raise is automatic, but we evaluate them depending upon the feedback given by the center head, the people whom they are directly reporting to, and subsequently decide whether they get a 20%, 10% or a 5% hike, or even whether they are retained in the organization. We got a importance of social media, which just covered so nicely. We got a Google review of more than 10,000 for our principal hospital at the Google score of 4.9. And this was a moment to celebrate. And we just got together a small get together. And this, our patient care coordinators were encouraged to cut a cake and celebrate in front of the entire hospital. And obviously, this was a motivation. There was some monetary incentive, but recognizing what they did is also extremely important at each and every level. I am sure all the organizations in their place have certain events which promotes congeniality. The families are also brought together. These are team building and social activities. Obviously, once they connect with each other, they also tend to perform much better. As I said earlier, these are my two principal doctors, Dr. Ravi and Dr. Shrish, right in front, who have been with me for more than 20 years. And Rajiv Nair, whom you see in the third photograph, is from Calicut. He has been with me for more than 30 years, and he came from Shankar Nethrale after his BSc optometry. And what you see over here, unfortunately, the cursor is not working, is my driver who's there for 30 years. He manages a fleet of cars now. Obviously, he is more like a manager now, and his position in the organization is also being recognized. Once they have spent a significant amount of time, all their retirement benefits, long-term bonus, etc., is also taken care of. This is not only done to make them feel happy, but also make the employees who are remaining with you feel secure and feel that this is a good organization to work with, who are going to be taking care of you in the long run too. And finally, we lay a lot of stress on keeping yourself fit. And there is a Coimbatore Marathon that's held every year. This year it's on December 18th. We sponsor whoever is willing to, whether it's 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, or 20 kilometers, they're gone ahead, they're sponsored for the marathon events. We also have places to work out. And obviously, fit mind needs a fit body, and that's something that we encourage. And these are also great ways to network and promote the organization as a whole. These are some tips that I have shared, we do in our particular center. Obviously, there are various other ways of doing it, and we have evolved these things over a period of time. I hope this did resonate with what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramamurthy. Lights on, please. It was a wonderful talk because it is not just a theory, because of your extensive experience. Actually, most of us need to learn from you, and very, very happy to have you here. So please accept a memento from KSOS side from Dr. Sasikumar. And actually, the next talk is by Dr. Basin. He is the, thank you, organizing secretary. He is trapped there, so we cannot reach here. So even our time is up. Any questions to Dr. Ramamurthy or any other person? I think
Dr. Shrikant was talking about that negative feedback and all, you have to do it. So suppose such a negative feedback just comes in, sir, what would you do? ASAP.
Lights in the switch area.
More than the positive feedback, you don't have time to respond. You have to act immediately. If it happens in the premises, when the consultation is going before the patient leave, you have to make arrangement. You should have the supporting system where they can talk to the patient, understand their problem, and give them the assurance what their experience, bad experience, so-called bad experience, will be taken care and rectified measures will be done. And after you do it, it is important you have to inform them. Any feedback, you can just tell that it has helped. Anything, you have to inform them this has been rectified. So you may be able to retain that patient back. It's more important, more than the positive feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inform them. Yes, correct. They can be deleted. That's what I was asking. Like, so you can actually ask them to delete it once that has been rectified.
But then many times it is anonymous. They won't. It's very difficult to trace them. Then you can't do much because it will remain there.
Yeah.
Even if you have 500 good reviews, one negative, it will remain there for a long time.
And most of the problem is you don't respond it immediately. There is no backup team to respond immediately. any review, positive or negative, that's what, if you're going online, you have to respond. 24/7, you have to be there.
So this is a problem. Some of the creator reviews also will be coming. So that happens from both sides, from some other people and also from this some particular persons and the hospital. So it is very, very important to have a good contact with these people. And you can also have actually it's not that wrong to have a good reviews, and you should learn how and which reviews remains on the top. It depends on the keywords and other things. Just write something, it won't go. So there are so many keywords you have to learn, and you put a better reviews that will come in the other. That is another method you can do it. Yes.
If there is a minute, there are many senior doctors here with having many centers and big centers working in big cities. So, sir rightly told about taking care of the staff. That was a very, very well highlighted point, because we always think of patients, social media. So, the few problems we face, I just want to know in a gist, how do you handle them? One is, sir told he takes them for picnics. I have seen Dr. Shrikant Karat routinely arranging, and I have seen Madam arranging games for them. So is it all this or financial? Like financial, how frequently we should give a hike, and what is the grade of hike? Based on city, I know it changes. And another problem we all face now, especially in big cities also, Coimbatore, maybe Calicut, there are many competitive eye hospitals coming up. So one hospital tries to poach on the team of the other hospital. So again, ethics, as Radharaman sir, is it ethical or not? And if a doctor or a staff tries to leave, what should be our attitude? Should we fall at his feet and no, I'll give you a hike, you come back? Or if you want to go, you made up your mind, you go. So what should be the attitude? So these two things, I just wanted some expert words in just a minute or two.
When you say whether it's just a monetary compensation or other things do matter, it simply boils down to this. Does happiness come only with money? Like even in our lives, we need so many other things. Just because we have money in our pockets, we are not happy. So similarly, yes, monetary compensation is most important, what they look for. And the reason they might leave you is most often because of a better pay packet. And it's not because you're taken out for them to a picnic, they're going to stay with you. But at the same time, to give them an overall experience, camaraderie. You have 10 people working in the theater, one girl tries to goes off. More than you, that system there, the group is going to hold them back. So the way they have interacted, so giving them multiple opportunities to interact with each other, get to know with each other at all levels is extremely important. And as far as retention, if there is competition trying to take them away, it entirely depends upon what the demand is and what the need of that individual is to my organization. Sometimes a great way of cutting off chaff. You want somebody to leave and he or she is also not happy. They come up with this thing, you say goodbye, please leave. But if it's somebody who's contributing very well, expects another 1,000 or a couple of thousand, and you want to retain them, sometimes they get you that appointment letter just to get a raise in your own organization. Value them, talk to them, but should not make it a habit. But then give them some sort of recognition and they may stay back.
Thank you, Dr. Ramamurthy, for this, and thank you all of you for coming here, and our time is up. Thank you again.